The copium epidemic has ravaged the Star Rail player base, and sadly, there's perhaps no community that's been hit harder than us Firefly mains. We all adore our girl, at least you do if you value your safety within striking distance of me. But as a recovering addict myself, it's far more dangerous than you might think. It always starts off small, subtle behaviors like claiming the free Ranmei instead of waiting, or maybe switching Himiko to the break set. But these are the developing signs of far more disturbing behavior. Before you know it, you'll find them in possession of light cones and eidolons, or habitually re-rolling iron cavalry and forge pieces for just one more break effect roll. You might notice their language start to break down, beginning to spout gibberish like sustainless break comps, Eagle S5 dance 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 HMC, or I pulled for fugue. And frankly, the moment you see that they have the new Firefly skin equipped, you know that they've reached the point of no return. If you have a Firefly man in your life, I urge you to check up on them before it's too late. Try to avoid bringing up sensitive topics like true damage, Amphorius, or pure fiction. And most importantly, you must not utter the words Remembrance MC no matter what. Is it too late for our girl? Or is another peak just around the corner? Recently, Firefly dropped a tier 0.5 in Prydwen's Apocalyptic Shadow tier list, meaning she is no longer a tier 0 unit in any game mode, ending a nearly year-long run, which, according to the internet, means it's time to start panic salvaging all the relics from your break team. But while this doomerism obviously doesn't come close to accurately portraying her viability in the meta, I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that Firefly is no longer a top DPS, which, as hard of a pill that is to swallow for us Blazerfly truthers, is only natural. It's been over a year since her banner dropped, and she's now on her second rerun on a collection of banners rumored to generate a total of $8 by its end. For the new players who started playing after 2.3, I don't think I could properly describe just how hyped her release was. I'm talking ads everywhere, full-on anime episodes, life-sized mechas, not to mention dropping the greatest banner name of all time, Fireful Flyshine, all for this one character. I'm not too much of a conspiracies guy, but I also fully believe that the banners released both before and after her were intentionally underhyped just to make her banner seem even more appealing. Just to be clear, I was absolutely one of the most hyped people for Firefly's release. Before anyone even knew if she would be a playable character, and during the frankly insane doomer period after Boot Hill's drip marketing, when people legitimately thought she might be released as a 4-star, I was saving everything for her. I practically bricked my account, skipping both Robin and Acheron to go all in on Firefly. If only I had known of a way to top up for cheap, like our sponsor, LDShop. Gacha games are an expensive hobby, but with LDShop, they don't have to be. LDShop is a safe and reliable game top-up site created by LD Player Emulator, which offers unbeatable prices for Reneric shards and other in-game purchases in Honkai Star Rail, as well as Genshin Impact, Wuthering Waves, and other games. If you use the affiliate link below, you'll receive a 15 and 5% off coupon, which can save you up to $50 in Honkai Star Rail purchases. All you need is your server and game ID to top up, and if you spend over $80 USD in 1 month at LDShop, you'll get a free supply pass. Thank you to LDShop for sponsoring this video, and be sure to check them out using the link in the pinned comment and description. And if you thought that Castorus' release was busted, you have no idea how good Firefly was. Oh my god. Firefly's peak was, without a doubt, the highest we've ever seen from a character. And at this point, I think even Hoyo understands that they won't be able to get away with doing anything like that ever again. A lot of people pin the blame on Acheron for this game's insane power creep, and while I get what they're saying in the sense that it was a clear example of one character being able to do basically everything, 2.3 was bar none the sharpest increase in damage that we've ever seen. Firefly made use of a relatively new mechanic called Super Break, which the new Harmony Path main character introduced. This mechanic allowed you to essentially repeatedly deal break damage after the enemy's weakness had been broken. While Boot Hill prior to her was a strong use case of this, Firefly was the one who really took it to the next level, with her insanely high speed and AoE capabilities. Oh, and they released a new relic and planner set that might as well have said, increases your damage by 1,000,000,000% if you are a fire destruction character who is from Glamoth, pilots a mech, has silver hair, is in love with the Trailblazer, and is named Firefly. Oh, they had also pretty recently released Gallagher, who was, in hindsight, absolutely the most insanely overpowered 4-star unit we'll ever see again, who was on her banner. Oh, and they also reran Ranmei, who, if they weren't the best buffer in the game before, definitely became the best thanks to Firefly utilizing her kit so well. I don't know why, but I'm starting to get the feeling that they wanted Firefly to be good. If you've watched my past videos on Ho-Ho or Anaxa, then you've probably caught on by now. But yes, it's time to make the comparison. Firefly is, Quite literally, the Michael Jordan of Honkai Star Rail. Much like MJ, Firefly had a capital G generational run where she was the face of the game and absolutely dominated the meta, the likes of which we've never seen before and will never see again. While the units on her team were obviously strong in their own right, her presence was the driving force that made it an unrivaled powerhouse. Not to mention bringing in so much hype and adoration that the game itself seemed to shift to her wants and needs. But that's just the thing though. At the time, Star Rail was largely structured around facilitating her success, but this game no longer exists. After seeing her absolutely obliterate every stage of game mode of endgame content, fans immediately began speculating of how they would make her irrelevant. The obvious answer to this, of course, was weakness lock. She needs to break enemies' toughness to deal damage whatsoever, and she shreds toughness better than basically every unit in the game. So to nuke her into irrelevancy, they'll just add a bunch of bosses who you can't weakness break. Surprisingly, outside of, ironically, her own boss fight, they actually stayed their hand on this strategy that, while it would have been 10,000% effective, would have been destructive for the game itself. Though that being said, what they ended up doing was arguably equally bad. In a turn-based game like Honkai Star Rail, whose gameplay is notably simple and straightforward, it's hard, and more importantly to Hoyo, obviously unprofitable, to increase the difficulty through promoting skill expression. That is to say, in a way that isn't just turning the HP knob up. As a result, bosses in endgame modes have gotten tankier and tankier, leading to the HP inflation problem that continues to spiral further and further out of control. If you want to know just how bad it's gotten, just Google Honkai Star Rail inflation and click on the 8th image. But to really show you what I mean, here's a graph of the total HP in Stage 12 of Memory of Chaos going back to patch 1.6, courtesy of HOM GDCat. Remember when Blade just got released and was tearing through content? Yeah, me neither. A relatively stable HP level, even dipping a bit before a gentle increase following the release of D-Hill and Black Swan in patch 2.0. We see the pattern with 2.2. At this point, Acheron and Robin both were the main powerhouse characters, and by then things were starting to get a bit worrying, though nothing unmanageable. You'll notice a few patches later, it gets bad. But at the very least, if you had Firefly and Ron May, it was still smooth sailing for you. Or so you might think. I'll just let the rest of the graph speak for itself, frankly. Yeah, I'm not sure where exactly the cutoff point was for Firefly to clear comfortably, but at this point, we've definitely passed it. While HP inflation is universally agreed upon to be a problem, there's a fairly prevalent opinion online that Firefly's community is in large part responsible for it. I mean, everyone wanted Firefly to be insanely busted, and realistically, how many other characters were invalidated as a result? I definitely feel for all the fan bases of characters that completely fell off, which statistically is more than half of them. But frankly, this argument is dumb. The community doesn't make and balance the game, though my offer to Hoyo for my professional services in this field still stands. They know full well that HP inflation literally generates hundreds of millions of dollars for them, and there's basically no chance that they'll ever stop intentionally power creeping characters. Unless of course that character is Huohuo. Also be sure to watch my previous Huohuo video. So how is Firefly doing now? Well, gone are the days of slapping Fall of an Aeon onto your E0 Firefly, along with their trusty memories of the past HMC, E0 meshing cogs Ranmei, and quid pro quo Gallagher, and clearing all the endgame content. I mean, I just tried the new Pure Fiction with a quote-unquote lower invested team that only has E2 S1 Firefly and S1 Ranmei, and got less than 20,000 points. But with a fully dedicated best-in-class team surrounding her, you'll still be able to get by. Though, if we're gonna be honest with ourselves here, any character that requires a 5+ cost team just to be able to barely reach the completion threshold is in serious need of help. At best, we'll get thrown a break boost in an apocalyptic shadow stage here and there, but otherwise, there will probably be better options in most use cases. If we were to venture outside of our Firefly-obsessed bubble, we'd probably get asked a fairly obvious, fair, and yet personally deeply offensive question. Why do you care so much? Is it really that important? I think I speak for all of us when I say, of course I care, and of course it's important. Firefly is a wonderfully written character who deserves more than just a lackluster skin and some increasingly ephemeral side quest references. Plus, she has a unique style of gameplay that just makes her a blast to use compared to so many of the autoplay units that we have now. We should be able to use the character that we love and not be put to shame by how the newest characters perform infinitely better in comparison. So where does that leave us? Realistically, if what we've seen in the past is any indication of what's to come, Hoyo is unlikely to release another Super Rare Facilitator anytime soon. If you're as much of a fan of the character as I am, First of all, stop kidding yourself, you're not even close. But second of all, her E2 is strong enough that it wouldn't be the worst decision ever to go for it. However, you'd have to do so fully knowing that you would be getting infinitely more value pulling for a newer unit. Will a heavily invested Firefly be zero cycling like back in her glory days? Absolutely not. Does that matter? Absolutely not. At the risk of sounding ridiculous, I think what Firefly has meant for the community as a whole goes far beyond just her viability in the game itself. Between all of the gorgeous artwork, writing, and general shared love that can be felt with this character's community, it really is such a wonderful thing that we have Firefly, even if we can't always use her the way that we used to. And it's not like there's no hope. We're seeing dot and HP scaling at center stage after complete irrelevancy, so there's plenty of hope for Break as well. Plus, we've seen all the other Stellaron hunters get buffs without telling her. You never know. Is it time to consult the magical crystal ball again? Okay, here goes. Maybe hope really is a thing with feathers after all. Thank you for watching. More Star Rail videos coming soon.
Anyway, $4 a pound.